Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. I was reading Ian O'Connor gave me, several chapters of his book on Aaron Rodgers. I'll just tell everybody, Ian is a relentless reporter. You get background, the first chapter on Aaron's family, which is, it's got a history, World War II. It's just fascinating, and it's master class storytelling. So I've read about 4 or 5 chapters. I'm giving him a little blurb for his book. I could not put it down. I flew through it. So the first year, it was kind of like, let's get friends of Aaron. Nathaniel Hackett, Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb. This offseason for the Jets, it's been like, let's just get some older players and let's go all in. Tyron Smith. So they get Hasson Reddick, who I think is a very good big play pass rusher. He tends to make his best plays in the biggest moment. Eagles got to get, they're paying Jalen Hurts. They got to move off some salary. So I think Hasson Reddick has something in the tag, maybe a little bit of a Von Miller here where there'll be moments you'll be like, oh yeah. And then you'll be like, he's old and he's not in his prime. But I do think it's interesting. The Hasson Reddick to me felt like, oh shit, this Aaron Rodgers thing, it not only has to work, it has to work by like October 15th. Or otherwise, I think you start losing the owner, the GM. I think you start losing people with Aaron, right? Like so much of the off-field stuff. The book will come out with Ian O'Connor. And there's some parts that you look at it and you're like, boy, Aaron's a lot of work. So your take on the Reddick move and kind of where the Jets are with this right now.
Did I read on the internet that Ian said he worked for a long time and Aaron finally agreed to sit down with him? So he got him for a couple hours. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ian, now he's done the book on Belichick. His Mike Krzyzewski book is, God, it's good. The
Belichick book's good. I listened to it, but it's good.
Yeah. And I've only read like 5 chapters, but I mean, the first chapter, the storytelling's insane. I don't even know how the hell Ian O'Connor gets it. But where are the Jets with you right now?
Well, I think let's use LeBron and the Lakers for an example. If the NBA salary cap was a little easier to maneuver like the NFL, this offseason they would sign Klay Thompson, DeMar DeRozan. They would sign every old guy who has ever had any success in the NBA. They would do it immediately. And I think that used to happen in the NBA a lot, right? When I was a kid, these older teams kind of get together at the end of their prime. Happens a little bit in the NFL, but you kind of fall off a cliff so bad, and guys can't kind of team up together because usually one guy gets his money here, one guy gets his money here. It does feel like they're clearly desperate. That's not even debatable. My take last week on that story that came out about Saleh and Woody was like, unless you were standing there, no one knows what the hell was going on. But sometimes in life, perception becomes reality. And if that would have been like John Lynch was yelling at Jed York, you'd be like, no way, right? Or Sean McVay was arguing with Roger, like, I don't believe that. But when it's the Jets, you're like, I could see that, right? 100%. Because Woody Johnson's reputation is pretty well established, kind of a crazy guy to work for. Not an easy place. And the organization's win-loss record kind of speaks for itself. Everyone's entire job, like this whole group and era, is all on the line. And at one point in time, well before Aaron, when they made that trade with Jamal Adams, it looked like they had a bright future. And things change fast when you miss on the quarterback. They really do. And they had to double down on the situation because they missed on Zach Wilson, made the Aaron trade. No one knew he would get hurt, but newsflash, 39-year-old guys sometimes get hurt in sports, right?
Yeah.
I hurt my back the other day working out. It wouldn't have happened at 30 years old, but at 39, it still doesn't feel quite right. So it's not weird at all. And I don't know. I mean, Mike Williams seems like a great guy, awesome player but he's always hurt.
Yeah.
The Reddick thing, the Eagles aren't just in the business of getting rid of talented guys. Like that one's a little weird. I get their contractual situation there. But they just took the Jets pass rusher, who's way younger, and then they traded him Reddick, right? Who would you say is a better run organization when it comes to picking players and trading for guys? Right. I'd say the Eagles. So that one, that's kind of a weird transaction, even though the Jets had nothing to do with Huff going over there. He was just a free agent. I just think most times, listen, I was with the Eagles with the Dream Team and some of these Ronnie Browns and Jason Babbins, old guys. You just age fast in the NFL. You're not a kicker or a punter. You're asked to explode, change direction, and the moment that starts slipping, injuries happen. The pressure that comes with New York. I unless Aaron is playing at a top 5 level of quarterback, I don't see this team having any chance in hell.
Yeah, and
Because
I
there's
think
just too much noise around it. That's part of it. In the NFL, that's really hard. Look at the Ravens. Like there's no, this year, once they got the Lamar situation figured out, there was just no noise. They just played football. Even the Lions, they just played football, no noise. Even the Packers this year, it was bumpy because win-loss record, but it was just like, oh, they're just normal football team playing away.
Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day, I was having a conversation with a athletic director in the country, and this person called me, a coach was leaving um, under their watch, a major coach. And the advice I said is, and there's a little anxiety with that. You have to hire a new coach. And one of the things I said is, whenever there's a divorce, you just have to realize that your wife could end up marrying George Clooney. You have to, if you're going to get a divorce, think long and hard about it. It's going to disrupt kids. It's going to disrupt your business. Like if you get a divorce from a top employee as you own a company, or your wife, you and your wife split. You have to be comfortable with that person succeeding. And I told the athletic director that coach could go, undefeated next year. When Favre left, he had about 2 good years left. And then Favre's personality, a little bit of a gunslinger on and off the field, got him in a little trouble. And then Aaron, by that time, had established it. And when Aaron left, Green Bay was sitting there thinking, yeah, for 2 years, we're going to have to eat it. Peyton Manning leaves the Colts, goes to Denver. You got to kind of eat it for 2 years and be comfortable with it. But Andrew Luck, pretty quickly, everybody went, oh, yeah, I get it. Aaron, pretty quickly with Favre, I get it. What's interesting, I thought Jordan Love, by Thanksgiving of the first year, it was like, and I really believe this, is he better than Aaron right now? He way more athletic.
100%. There's not a GM in the NFL that would, obviously you factor in age, but Aaron didn't play well the year before for the Packers.
And I sat there and I thought, that doesn't help Aaron. Like it did help Aaron when Favre kind of dovetailed. It's like we made the right move, right? And it does help when Peyton Manning got hurt in Denver. You're like, yeah, Luck was the right move. Shit, Jordan Love's better right now. And I don't think that's a hot take.
No, I don't have the Minnesota Vikings 08 roster off the top of my head, but I remember being pretty good. The one Favre that year they had. They had offensive linemen. Adrian Peterson, I think, was young on that team. They had a tight end. They had multiple wide receivers.
Should have gone to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the defense was good. That roster, I bet if we went player for player compared to this Jets, not even remotely the same. Obviously, Favre had that one last throwback year. I had a DM the other day that I was like, I hadn't really thought about that. He's like, everyone's mocking either a wide receiver or the tight end to the Jets, right? Get a little more offensive firepower, especially someone young. And they're like, Aaron doesn't like young players at that position. He's got that hit. Tom Brady was the same. They do not throw him the ball. So you draft Brock Bowers or you draft Rome Odunze. Well, if they're not on the exact, that's why he likes Randall Cobb, right? That's why he always pounded the table for James Jones. The wide receivers he really likes Devontae. He trusts them implicitly. Young players, it's a lot going on. So that's something to keep an eye on who they end up drafting high. Because if it is a skill guy, and maybe you'd say, well, they just signed Mike Williams, they don't need it as much. Well, I don't know if Mike Williams is the most dependable individual going at that position. So I just think the Robert Saleh thing, he's a really good guy. He's easy to root for. But sometimes you just go to an organization, like maybe it's just not, it's in borderline impossible there to win right now with the way Woody is and the Johnson family. I'm not absolving like Robert's some dynamic coach so far, and it all gets back to the Zach. I mean, this Aaron story dates back to the Rodgers or the Zach Wilson pick, because if they had hit on that, now you could argue that after Trevor Lawrence, they all, are on different teams, right? I think Woody came out and said at the owners' meetings, this is a great tell sign of an organization where it's like, what is this guy saying? If we can't trade him, because no one's trading for his $8 million as a backup quarterback, he will be on the team. It's like,
Oh boy.
why wouldn't Woody just go, hey, this is their job. I stay out of it. That's what most owners do. That's why most owners don't talk that often, right? It just makes it more complicated. They don't really have a choice at the owners' meetings. They kind of throw the local guys a bone. But for the most part, they never say anything because the moment they say something, that's the headline. So yeah, I'm just betting against the Jets. I really am.